So we're at SDSU. You don't get in the picture. These are my lovely interns. And we're about 30 minutes until we go into the room and talk to all these sorority girls. We're gonna have a really awesome time.
Hey.
Yay.
Hey guys. So I'm 31, so I haven't been in college in a decade. But every year when I was in college, I wasn't a sorority, I played soccer. All my teammates were in sororities, and every year they would say to me, why don't you rush? Come on, it'll be awesome. And every year I would say to them, I go to parties anyways. So this is my first official sorority meeting. I'm pretty excited about it. So I know that Erica just said to put your phones away, but I want everyone to reach up with their phones, shake them at me. Shake them, shake them, shake them. Everyone. Go turn it on silent. And that phone is going to take a nap underneath you. Put it all the way underneath that chair of yours. I know it's really hard, I get it, to just set that phone away, but anyone that you want to talk to is in this room. Cool? Awesome. Alright, so I know that we're all sorority sisters, but even though you may know someone's name or know a little bit about them, you may not be best friends. So what I want you to do is, you're going to be my partner. I want everyone to stand up. No, you're good. What's your name? Natalie. Awesome. I'm Sabrina. I want you to stand up. Everyone stand on up. Alright, and I want you to look in front of you and behind you and grab onto someone's hand like this. Alright, someone that you don't know well. Someone that you don't know well. Go ahead.
Don't grab me! I got you! Oh. I know Catherine too well. Obviously, I don't know you as well as I know Catherine.
I'm going to stare into Natalie's eyes, and I'm first going to tell her, you are a sexy bitch. Perfect. And then I'm going to give her a hug. Alright?
My sexy bitch friend.
Now when you're ready. I was a little hesitant to say bitch, but you know what? I'm out there. I was going to say beast, but we went with bitch. Cool? Alright. So, you might have seen my name on the announcement. I'm Sabrina. I'm a lot of different things, but one thing that defines me is writer. That is not what I would have said I wanted to be as a child. Professional athlete was top on my list. Anything that allowed me to sweat and move and play sports was something that felt most right? So as I got into undergrad, even though I was really into my academia growing up in high school and in undergrad, it took me until I was in college and discovering all these things and trying out a ton of different things I was passionate about, trying to figure out who was I, right? So in undergrad, I was going to do international relations. That was my major. And then after a couple semesters of taking courses, though they were really fascinating courses, it was becoming too depressing. I couldn't hear about another bombing and more death statistics and whatnot. So I decided to switch majors. And all the distribution courses for this major called writing seminars, I was at Johns Hopkins, it's based in Baltimore, and all the distribution courses was everything I just naturally wanted to take. It was art history courses and psychology courses and writing courses, and I figured, all right, I'll try it out, right? My dad wanted me to be pre-med and wanted me to go to law school, and I just was trying to figure out who I was. And one of the great things about writing sems is it allowed me to travel abroad. So my sophomore year, after my sophomore year, in that summer, so I think it was June of 2006, I flew to Prague and studied art history there and culture and language and whatnot, and traveled all alone for about 6 weeks after that program. And then immediately flew to Bangkok and studied abroad based out of Thailand for about 5 months. And traveled and figured out, what do I like doing, right? What am I passionate about? And I spent that year taking more courses with writing seminars. And then the following summer, I traveled to Rwanda and did a report for the Mount Brilla Veterinary Project. Actually, this is me in Vietnam. I forgot that part. Jumping into Halong Bay, having some fun, right? Exploring, traveling, going on weekend excursions. This is me in Rwanda. We went on, hiking to the gorillas, learning about the vet program, learning about the culture. And what this opportunity taught me was I love to travel, right? I already knew that. And I loved incorporating the written word with political, environmental, and social issues. So as I entered my senior year, it was technically my last semester. I was graduating early, and I had no idea what I wanted to do. I would hear my dad go to law school, do this, do that, come home, get a real job. But I knew three things. And I knew I loved writing, was one. I was in a course, finally, it was very hard to get into, called Opinion Writing with Greg Kane. And what Greg taught us was there were no rules in writing. I could adopt a voice that was true to me, edgy and sarcastic and raw and authentic, and have fun with it and not feel constrained by the 5-paragraph, like thesis essay, right? Come on in. And so all of a sudden the written word, even though all my peers throughout college, they were all in writing SEMs because they wanted to be writers. For me, I just enjoyed it, but suddenly the written word just clicked. And it was just kind of that moment of like, maybe I'll pursue this. So I started looking at jobs. And I ended up, because I knew I enjoyed writing and I wanted to travel and live abroad, I found a job listing based in Panama City, Panama. And it was for some political media outlet. Didn't really know everything about it. I just figured, you know what, it's a good stepping stone, let's go for it. Booked a flight, I was gonna fly there with my mom in early December. This is 2007. And find an apartment, meet with the boss, etc., right? So, we're going to back up just a little bit. This is fall 2007. About 7 months earlier, my oldest sister, I'm the youngest of 4 girls, my oldest sister got married. This is us, Maya, Brittany, Casey, and my mom at my sister's wedding. And wonderful, wonderful experience. Very, very close to my sister. So as I entered fall semester, and especially with my sister saying, go and explore and do what you want to do, in November, on November 14, 2007, it's sometime around 6 p.m. in Colorado, I got a call later on that night that my sister killed herself. In a moment, my whole world was shattered. And I mean, it's been 9.5 years, and I was trying to prepare myself in the car right over here to be able to talk about it and not cry, and I always kind of apologize when I'm talking about something very emotional, and there's nothing to be sorry about, but it's still very hard, right? But it was life-shattering. Maya was very grandiose and thought I was the greatest person in the world and could do anything, and kind of like a mother figure to me. And I remember being on the phone with her a couple hours before she did it, and she said to me, with me not knowing that was in the cards whatsoever, I love you so much, Sabrina, so much. Do you know that? I love you so much. And I replied, I know, I love you too, Mai. And we hung up. And when I got the call, I remember booking a flight to fly. I was flying back to Michigan, where my parents lived, to then fly to Colorado to pick up her body. And simultaneously, I remember standing in my closet and packing for both warm weather in Panama City, because that was still my plan, right? That's what I thought was my path, and cold weather in Michigan and Colorado. And I didn't realize at the time that November 14th would become a watershed. It was before November 14th and after November 14th, and nothing about my life stayed the same. I was deflated. I just, when I say confused and angry, it doesn't even start to encompass what was really going on. And so once we dealt with, picking up her body and bringing it back to Michigan and the funeral and Shiva and all that stuff, what I do to process, right, and what I had started really connecting with, even though I've been journaling and all this other stuff for years, was I started writing, right? This is a poem recently, actually, and I never really wrote about it, which is kind of shocking if you know me. For some reason, I just didn't ever really share what really went on, but I'm going to read this to you, and then we'll keep talking. My flip phone says 3 missed calls. 2 from home, 1 from him. I assume her phone died, so he used his to call me. And I quickly relived the night before, up in the wee morning hours, listening to her tears, telling her, it'll be okay, get to yoga, center yourself. You only want to be with someone who loves you no matter what. So I call home and my dad's voice utters, Maya killed herself. Like if he gets the words out faster, it won't be true. And the wind is knocked out of me like a bat smashing into my chest, flesh and bones spewing in every direction, ricocheting from incredible force. I hang up. I call him, illogically hoping maybe she'll answer. But it's not her. And he utters coldly, what do you want to know, Sabrina? How? I ask, followed by a quick, no, I don't want to know. My voice unnervingly powerful. And I realized, looking at my missed calls, that he called me first. He wanted me to call my parents, to inform them politely, calmly, that their firstborn just hung herself. He wanted me to do it. Not he who didn't try to hoist her body up and out of the noose. Not he who ran out of the house screaming. Not he who showed up to the police station with an attorney. Not he who wouldn't let us in the house. Not he didn't fly to Michigan for a funeral. He called me first. But I don't know these things in the 3 a.m. moonlight of my Baltimore apartment. All I know right now are my tears and snot have soaked the sheets around me and my chest is heaving, so I call him again and hear my mom's voice followed by the thunder of my dad, rampaging through the house 1,000 miles away from me, smashing walls with his fist, bellowing with anger and fear and hurt so big his 250-pound frame feels like he might die from instant grief. And I'm rocking myself, hoping my breath returns. I too feel like I'm hanging. So as I said, you know, when I was younger, I journaled since middle school, and you know, I had a couple papers published in high school in our annual publication, and I was a writing sems major at Hopkins, but I never considered myself a writer, right? I just wrote. It was a very big difference in my head. But then suddenly, through writing and journaling and starting to write these articles for maybe like Yoga Journal or whatever, I started crafting a memoir, and it just kind of sprung out of me. And it allowed me to express all my fear and hurt and process everything that was going on. It allowed me to find a voice in all the mayhem. But more than that, it allowed me to connect with people, right? When they started reading my book a couple years later when it came out, it was allowed them to share their story. And so suddenly, amidst all this like chaos, I was able to figure out, okay, that's what I'm passionate about, right? And all that, you know, all those like cool and fun experiences in college and all the uncertainty and, you know, being depressed in sophomore year of, you know, trying to quit soccer and having friends disappoint me and having awesome love affairs and all these different things, right, that you go through in college, it started to make sense. And so, you know, that book became what I titled Must Girls Love. Must Girls Love was a phrase that Maya would use to just kind of talk about the bond that we shared as sisters. And not only was I working on that, I was simultaneously starting to write a Holocaust survivor publication with my mom. My mom's a super, super talented photographer. And the first series, the first book that we did was called Living Witnesses Faces of the Holocaust. And she took their portraits. It was included were 92 Holocaust survivors from the Detroit area. And I'm Jewish, but neither side of my family were in the Holocaust. We came over way before that. But it was talking to these people and photographing them and hearing their stories and writing their bios. I connected with more people going through grief, right? And so it was a certain understanding. And again, sharing, using my writing to share their stories with other people. And so I was writing these books, and I was substitute teaching, and I was coaching at my old high school and a neighboring high school, and I was doing all these things essentially, right, to figure out what did I want my work to be. And that's why we're here today, is to talk about doing what you love should be your work, okay? Even though you hear, you know, go to law school, go to medical school, which, if you want to go to law school, wonderful. If you want to become a doctor, awesome. But figuring out what really works for you. And so, 2 years after Maya died, it had been, as much as I had done a lot, right? I was doing, you know, writing books and doing all these jobs, and internally, I was a fucking mess. I mean, I truly, the only reason I didn't kill myself was because I knew what it did to my family with Maya, and it was the only thing holding me together. I was extremely depressed. I was just binge eating and not exercising and just just not taking care of myself. And so suddenly, once I kind of like got lifted out of that, I was able to I created this mantra of like, I just want to feel good again. And so I dedicated myself to, okay, I know what I'm passionate about. How can I figure out a lifestyle that allows me to be happy? And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to go pursue a master's in writing. So I moved to Chicago. This was in, I think, August of 2012. And I studied at Northwestern and spent a couple years. You know, we ended up doing a second Holocaust book with my mom. It was international, so I think it was 7 or 8 countries in total, about 300 survivors. And that kind of like got me back into sharing people's stories and giving them a voice. And after those 2.5 years were up, I took on the next challenge. I'm like, all right, I'm going to move to Austin. I wanted that challenge of going somewhere I didn't know anyone and figuring out how can I take all these skills and make it into a career. And again, I was just kind of figuring out different things, right? I can, you know, copyright for businesses. I was starting to build my clientele that way, and I love tutoring, so let's do this. And I loved running fitness boot camps. Let's try that. And then after about 2 years, I thought, you know what? I hate working for this company. They just don't align with what I believe in. I'm going to move one more time, and I'm going to really, really commit myself what I promised myself I would do a couple years back about doing what I love should be my work and finding a lifestyle that just made me feel good, right? So I moved to San Diego. This was just over a year ago, last February 2016. And I started full-time pursuing my blog, and I do content writing for companies, branding and editing and all this stuff. But I figured out a way. Close your eyes for a second, and I want you to imagine yourself in bed. That first moment that you wake up in the morning, before you even open your eyes, and you're super cozy in your sheets and your comforter and you're warm, and you feel rested, or maybe you're exhausted because you only got 5 hours. But there has to be that one thing that you literally just want to spring out of bed and you feel so excited to do that not doing it is a non-negotiable. Okay, so hold on to that thing. And it might be 3 things. It might be working with kids. It might be medically related. It might, you know, whatever it is for you. What is true for you, despite what society tells you and your parents are telling you and what your professors are telling you. All right, so I want you to open your eyes, and everyone should have a piece of paper and pen. And if you don't, I have extra. And I just want you to jot down, for me, right, it was writing. It was travel. It was giving people a voice, inspiring others to be driven. Okay, so that's what it is for me. I know someone that I climb with. She works for Qualcomm, 9 to 5, desk job, cubicle, loves it. Loves the structure. That's not for me, and that's okay. That's for her. She loves that. That's something. So what is that thing that literally makes you jump out of bed in the morning? If you are doing that, maybe school is not your thing right now. But what is that thing that I wouldn't have to pay you to do, in other words? I want you to jot that down. Just take like maybe 2 minutes, kind of go internally, think about it. Does anyone else need paper? Yeah. Without answering it in a way of what, like really try to be true to yourself, not answering it in a way that you feel is the right way. There's no right answer. It could be, I want to go work at NASA and fly spaceships. I mean, whatever it is. I want to be a surfer. I want to play the trumpet. I played the trumpet. I was a trumpet nerd. I was. And when you're done, I want you to just stand up and put your hand in the air. So take your time. We have another minute or so, 2 minutes, whatever. Just really think about what are you most passionate about? Yeah, just like that. There's no rush. You can write a paragraph. You can write 2 words. If you don't know how to spell it, you can ask your neighbor how to spell it.
How's it going, Riley? There you go. We'll cry.
If you're already standing and you want to do something else, you can dance. That's fine. No rush, no rush. So I want you to find that new bestie from earlier that you told was a sexy bitch, Natalie. And I want you to kind of quietly, just so everyone can hear each other talk, like as a pair, talk. She's going to tell me what she wrote down, and I'm going to tell her what I wrote down. Imagine, like I wrote it down in theory. All right, so take just a couple minutes sharing what you wrote down and what your passion is. Hi, Jill.
Hi. And I say what she wants to do, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
She doesn't want to be doing school right now, so I guess
just getting through it, I guess. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
You didn't even tell me once.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You didn't? Oh.
She wants to travel the world.
That's Kelly.
Okay.
Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
Sorry.
Okay. Wants to travel the world. Great. Okay. Another pair? Erica?
Okay. So this is Carly.
Hi, Carly.
And she loves to travel, and the thing, we got on like a little roll of talking, but the thing that I found was most interesting was she's backpacking in a few weeks all over Japan by herself.
Okay.
She loves her family and just like being able to talk to them on the phone since they live in San Francisco and have one them. And taking another step towards your career like through school and through work.
Wonderful. Awesome. Great. So it's really listening. So, you know, even though my dad's essentially an entrepreneur himself, in his mind, the only job, the only right way to kind of go is to get that traditional, you know, very steady pay, you know, not going the entrepreneurial route. So for me, it's kind of fighting that, you know, that teaching versus my mom's very much do what you love, right? So it's trying to hear all this noise, all of us, right? So each one of us hears all this noise, all these suggestions, all this push and pull, and it's really honing in on what do you love to do? What will get you excited in the morning to wake up? to make you the happiest person you can. And again, it's something that is a non-negotiable. So even if you're somehow find yourself in medical school and that's not your passion, and it's really playing the violin, that no matter how tired you are at night, that you're always going to play that violin, right? And how can you make that your work? And that's what our talk is about today. Here you go. If anyone else wants to share with what they're passionate about, by all means, you can stand up. And what we're going to do just the rest of the time is just kind of a question and answer. If you have any questions, questions for even anyone in your group. This is just an open share. And I do have these 3 more gift certificate things, so we can raffle these off. Yes, go ahead. Yeah. And I'm going to preface this with, I am not a very private person, so you can ask me anything. Anything. Okay, go ahead.
So, with traveling being something that you wanted to do, how did you fund that? Did you have a part-time job and save up, or what do you think is the best way to do that? Travel.
Yeah. So in college, travel. Thank you. So in college, travel. I combined it at the time with studying, right? So I would take, when I was in Bangkok, it was pretty ridiculous, but I scheduled my classes Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I could have, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off to go to a new country, a new city each weekend. And I had saved up money that it allowed me to travel. I'd been working since I was young, and I was fortunate that my parents helped pay for college. So the money that I was making as a waitress did help. I'll be very honest about that. But in college, yeah, I was waitressing, and I spent a summer in New York working for an internship, and every night I would, a few nights a week I would go and I would cocktail waitress and make a bunch of cash, and I'd save that and spend it on something that really was of value to me. As an adult, the past year I haven't really traveled very much since moving to San Diego. I was getting to know a new city. But I had started, this is actually the last slide, you'll see my dog Monkey. This is us in Antigua. Traveling, this year, the time that I went to a few different countries with her, about a year and a half ago, where I was working at that boot camp, and the way it was scheduled was we'd have 4 weeks on, 1 week off. And I don't live very expensive lifestyle. I rather save money to do something like experiences. So I just kind of made it work. And I can travel pretty cheaply. I mean, when I was in Europe and I spent those 6 weeks traveling alone before I flew to Bangkok, I think, hostel stays, I stayed in some really sketchy hostels. Hostel stays and food, give me a baguette and a couple bananas and I was fine. It didn't matter to me what I was eating as long as I was seeing and photographing, excuse me. So it's just about trying to figure out what are your priorities and making it work no matter what. Yes, ma'am?
What was your favorite city to travel to and to live in?
So, traveling to cities versus living in cities, when you live in a city for more than a month, 2 months, you really get to know it. And so it is a very different, just naturally, it's a very different experience. I loved Prague. It was just stunning, and I didn't know, when I travel, I usually don't research before I just kind of show up, like, hey, what's up? And then I just start walking. I wake up, I walk around the city, I, maybe Google some things, maybe have a guidebook. Prague was, but I also knew the city really well. I really explored the non-touristy areas. And probably one of my favorite, I took a trip to Burma, and I don't know how the borders are now. It was kind of challenging to get in. They really did background checks. There was a lot of friends that got denied from going in, and that to me, there weren't a lot of travelers. I was like the only white woman I would see all day long, and it just felt very, very authentic. Not, Western culture hadn't really infiltrated yet, and and so it just felt like I was just living, like I was experiencing it as they experienced it. So those are two of my top. But of course, like, Paris is awesome. Like, no wonder why the French are cocky. Like, it's a beautiful city, you know? So there's a lot of different, you know, I mean, every place is unique, and every place is different based on who you are at the time, right? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I change every week, you know, and grow and get to know myself more and get more and more comfortable in who I am. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Where was the last photo taken on the...
That was actually a couple weeks ago at Joshua Tree. I'd never been. Yeah, I'd never been. And I started getting into climbing this past August, and it's a very big challenge for me. I'm pretty scared when I'm on the wall of heights. Like, I just have this incredible fear. I was climbing actually before I came here, and just like, I breathe hard just from the fear. It's like, physically it's challenging, of course, but not as much as the fear. But that was Joshua Tree. It was stunning. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Did you publish you said you wrote a lot when you traveled, but did you publish your blogs of you traveling, or was it just a personal experience?
Okay, so I have some pieces that are published on, I don't know, Mind Body Green, or Different Thought Catalog, or all these different online publications. But when I hear published, I hear books. For me, that's just kind of how I associate it. A lot of my articles are all on my blog, but then I've definitely had a whole stream of, you know, poems or essays or whatnot that have been published on online publications. And it just depends on, I mean, one's on this, like, vitaminworld.com or something, and I did, like, you know, top yoga studios around the States, and just because I know yoga studios around the States. So it just all depends on, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been, like, published in a, you know, a well-circulated online publication or magazine, and that just goes on my blog, and then it's just read by a few thousand, and then, you know, other stuff that's a little bit more distributed. Does that make sense? Yes.
When you moved around, did you live with, like, people, or, like, share apartments with people, or did you live independently?
So when I was doing study abroad, I had three roommates, I guess. It was like a local that was kind of like our house mom. So I had two roommates then that were students as well. And then when I lived in Bangkok, I was part of a house of, I think it was 25 of us. And it was, you know, we had like a housekeeper and security guards, and they made it very safe. It was an international university. And it was maybe like 10% international students and mostly Thai, so it was like we were very immersed in the culture. But other than that, I've always lived alone. I'm a clean freak. I'm kind of particular about how I like things. But yes, I'm not gonna like. It's exciting to move to a new city, but it's very challenging. You know, it gets very lonely, and anyone that says otherwise, I just feel like they're lying. You know, when I moved to San Diego, I knew of a couple people, but I didn't have any friends here, you know? And I still miss my best friends, and I wish my parents lived here, and, you know, it's just, but there's a lot of growth in the unknown, and so I try to embrace that as much as possible. And when I'm traveling, it can feel alone too. So honestly, that was part of the reason that I started bringing my dog. I was waiting to like go travel with someone, like a boyfriend or something, and I was been single for so long that finally I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna take Monkey. And everyone thought I was crazy, and it was the greatest decision. Like, she's an amazing travel companion. So, but yes, it's lonely but exciting, and you grow a lot from that because it really forces you to branch out. Yes?
What is your blog about now? Like, is it kind of different, or is it kind of focused on one thing?
Yeah, so I kind of write about a little bit of everything. I write about dating, I write about grief, I write about travel sometimes, I write about my piece that I shared yesterday, Tuesday, was actually about it was one of the first pieces I wrote for my blog. It was about training a man that was trying to accept becoming a transgender, or I don't know if he actually wanted to make that total transition, but he was cross-dressing, and just the experience of that, of someone being so fearful, but kind of, you know, playing around with that idea. Or it could be about bad dates or funny text exchange. I mean, it's all over the place. Yeah, and it's really more of, hey, like I'm really out there, you know, here's my story. If I have the balls to share it, maybe you have the balls to share your story. And I just think that the overarching message all the time, for me at least, is how can I give others permission to feel honest with themselves? So, any other questions? Yeah.
What would be your like tips for a girl trying to, I don't know, travel by herself abroad?
Yeah. So I definitely did a lot of really stupid stuff when I was younger. I remember when I left Prague, even though I had been kind of like traveling on like shorter, like I took a train to Poland and I'd come back for the long weekend. I had those 6 weeks before my flight left Prague again for Bangkok, and I did have a travel. I just arrived in the French airport. I didn't have a travel book. I didn't speak any French. I had no idea where I was going other than I had an address for a hostel that I found. And it was in the sketchiest part of town. Like one day I saw some people shooting up, and I was like, all right, this is awesome. So my suggestions would be, when I was 20, 21, I wanted to just save money, and I get that, but try to position yourself in a hostel or some type of living situation where you're in it, right? Like if you move to a new city, it's great that you're saving $200, but if you're somewhere that you have to drive 20 minutes to like be in the thick of it and get to know people in your community, I feel like you're taking away from the experience. So, find a place that's in a busy area that you can walk outside and go to local markets and whatnot. Always at night, try to walk with someone, though I'm not always best about that. Just talk to people, and the more that you get out, are friendly, the locals will kind of naturally watch over you. And just respect as much as you can. Try to communicate in their spoken language, the better. I mean, I'm not fluent in Spanish, so my Spanish is totally embarrassing, but just trying says a lot to locals. So those are a couple tips. And I can give you more, I'm just very much about, I don't really like to plan group, excursions. I just, honestly, I have my camera, I have just a little bit of money, not a ton on me, credit card, and then I just start walking and I photograph when I travel. And it's just about watching people, like a creep. Any other questions? Yeah.
When you travel, would you recommend more traveling to developed countries or more undiscovered third world countries?
See, I like undiscovered. I like both because it's getting a flavor for both, and it's learning how to travel and being uncomfortable with things going wrong, and the unknown, right? So how we were talking about moving to a new city, it's how can I position myself where I don't know anything, and I'm learning, and you're just kind of through osmosis, whether you're paying attention and it's a conscious effort or not, I'm seeing everything and I'm hearing and I'm smelling. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go next, just for a couple weeks. Or I have a flight that United granted me about 9 months ago that I'm considering using, and I don't know where I want to go. But I thought today, maybe I'll just go up to San Francisco. I haven't been there in 15, 20 years. But really, what speaks to me is getting somewhere that it's a total different culture, and I don't oftentimes feel very nervous. I just think there's certain things that you can do and be around certain people, be in an area that there's people around. And for the most part, I have a belief that people are good and that they'll watch over you. And even though you're a woman, and I know that people get very scared about that. My dad, every time, he's like, "Are you trying to kill me? You're an idiot." He'll call me and be like, have you been, I don't even know, some random country. And I'm like, no, I haven't even heard of it. Yeah, you haven't been to that one yet, idiot. He's really funny. But, it's just I feel like I'm giving him a heart attack all the time, but I just don't share certain things. And just put yourself out there. I would 9 times out of 10, I would choose undeveloped, undiscovered over something that's instead of Costa Rica, go to Guatemala. That's my take. So. Go to all of them, but it's not, yeah.
What's like your top 2 tips for traveling alone? Because I know that can be a lot different, and for like extended periods of time if you're backpacking by yourself or something.
Yeah.
Things you should just know for yourself.
For me, in some of this, just from the last like a couple years, like a year or so ago, traveling with Monkey, it's always knowing when you're first arriving in the country. I don't plan where I'm staying for the whole week. I just want the first night. I want to know, because once I'm done with the first night, I'm either going to stay there, or the next city I go into, I'm comfortable enough that I'll be able to like shoot someone an email, and I like the flexibility, but knowing that I have a place to go and it's like my home base makes me feel calmer, that I can go and get a shower and and lay down for a second and then start exploring. So that's just always what I do, and always find the local markets. I'm not a big person where maybe it's me not wanting to like. I'm not going to be that person that goes like the nicest restaurant. The only reason I went to one of the nicest restaurants when I was in Mexico, I was in Lake Chipotle, that's how you pronounce it, was because some dude wanted to take me there for a date. Best mushrooms I've ever had in my life. But I wouldn't naturally do, like, I'd just rather just go to the market and pick up random stuff and get some calories in me and go about my day. But that allows me to see what locals are doing. So those to me are like, those are standards. Find that night stay, that first night stay, and then always go to local markets and walk around and just kind of just like live how the locals are living. Go to places that they're doing, that they're going to. Any other questions? Yes. I think it's my mom. My mom got it. She's terrible. Honestly, I don't know that much about settings, and even though my mom will like remind me before I go somewhere, I just know lighting and framing, and photos just seem to like come out pretty well. I think it's a Nikon, and it's small, and it can, it can go both. It can go automatic, it can go manual. It has all these different settings. It can take video. It's nothing super nice, but it was, I don't know, probably $500. I don't even remember. I've had it for so many years now. But I mean, there's certain photos that I take on my iPhone that, and there's certain quality. It's really more than anything with photography, lighting and framing and knowing how to position things and see and having an eye for it. And it's something that I personally don't really, I just think that like being around it and watching other, like looking at photographs and playing around with it yourself is just something that you naturally learn. So yeah, I couldn't even tell you what I think it's a Canon. I don't know, that's embarrassing. Yeah.
So you were talking about making your passion like your job. How did you suggest like figuring out what that is, or like a way of doing that? Yeah, so
the only advice I can give is just based on personal experience, right? And then that's anyone that tries to tell, everything is what I've experienced. All right, here's that information. So for me, it was honestly, and the amount of different jobs I've had is ridiculous. I think that was actually something that I forgot to say in my speech. I remember when I was, those 2 years back in Michigan after Maya died, I did a 3-month stint at NPR. I wanted to see if maybe I wanted to write for radio. I don't. I was waitressing at my uncle's restaurant, pizza chain. Maybe I'll just take over the restaurant and live it. No, don't want to do that. I was substitute teaching. I love teaching, but there are certain things that it didn't totally fulfill it. I didn't like the flexibility that I needed. Honestly, it's just as many experiences as you can have, the more. It's kind of like, all right, like here are all your options, right? I'm just going to start knocking them out and figure out, like, and some people are fortunate that they just know what they want to do immediately. Some people never figure that out. I know more people, I'm 31, I know more people in their 30s that still don't really know what they want to do. And that's okay. It's just, what are you actively doing to figure that out? Because I do truly believe that you are going to be, you could say the purpose of life is so many different things, right? It's to make money, it's to have a family, it's to do this. But when it really all comes down to it, it's I want to love and I want to be happy. And to be happy is to love, and to love is to be happy, right?
So how can I live every day? And yes, of course, money is reality, and you have to be able to make a living doing it, but how can you at least position yourself in a way as best as you can to make that true for you? And it's just like trial and error. Even if you try something for a month, I hate that, I don't like that, this is great, but I could do this instead. And you just kind of play around with it, and you guys are 18, 19, 20, like, this is when you should be doing it, and not feeling like you're in this box, right? Like, even if you hear it from your parents, like, oh, I was just on the phone with, actually her older sister, it's her stepsister, or half-sister, I should say, this girl, Abby, from Michigan. And she called me, she's considering moving somewhere else. And she lives in Denver now, but if she moves to another city, her parents are gonna freak out. And if, she doesn't have the financial means right now to just pick up and move. And I'm like, Abby, do not move back to Michigan. If you move back to Michigan, you will never move away, period. Like, you're 24, go and fuck up. Go fail, right? Like, it's scary, but like, you might fail, you might thrive, who knows? But just trying it is the most important part. That's my take on it. So, and obviously I don't know what everyone's situation is in their relationship with their parents, but when it comes down to it, my parents will support anything I do, right? Unless they kill someone. Like, they'll, like, anything I do. If I'm really in a bind, they will swoop in and help me, period. It doesn't matter if I'm 50 years old or 10 years old, that's parent love. And your friends would help you, and it's just like taking that leap. I just read something on, I think some guy posted something on Instagram about, like, if we instead of like giving voice and power to our fear, if we just focused on what are we capable of and what do we want to accomplish, it's like, what are you fueling, essentially? Yeah.
How do you recommend, like, balancing your personal goals with, like, your career goals? Because, like, at least for me, like, both of my parents, like, gave up, like, their dream careers to start a family.
Yeah.
To have, like, a more stable job that would, like, be able to support me and my sister. And
Yeah.
they say that, like, they never regretted it. But, like, at least for me, like, I want to have both,
Yeah, I think that's one of my sisters has kids, and I remember her saying, she works in corporate America, and, she said, but this is giving me stability for my family. And so it works for her. So, like, what works for someone else might not work for me, and what works for me might not work for someone else. But I definitely think that there's a way, if they don't regret it, that's wonderful, and maybe just supporting their family is their passion. You never know, but I do think that there's something to be said, how can you it's almost like my career is my life. Do you see, it's like so intermixed that everything I would be trying to do just as my passion and just for my life in general is everything that I want to be doing for my career. And trying to figure that out. And not, when I was doing the boot camp in Austin, I would have, it was almost always moms, right? Because women, when you have young kids especially, not personal experience, but the experience told me, is they kind of set their needs aside, right? And that's great, it's very selfless, but to be able to give, you have to be able to give to yourself first. So, every morning my mom would wake up and exercise and then care for us and have the clarity of mind to be able to be there and be present. And she was a full-time mom and then started her photography business once we got older. But it's, how can you position yourself in a way that is giving to yourself and pursuing a passion? And maybe it's, yes, and maybe having a family and providing that stability, I think that's really, really important. And that is part of the passion, but not totally setting that other stuff aside. There has to be like a happy medium between the two. Yes?
Do you have any tips on how to talk to your parents about what you want to do with a passion compared to like what they want you to do?
Yeah. It's funny because, the dynamic in my family is, like I said, my mom is, for the most part, whatever we want to do, she will support. And my dad is the no parent. No, that's crazy. But it's finding a way to say, listen, like, this is what I love to do, and I'm going to go for it and see if it works. And I need your support. And even if you don't think this is the best thing for me, let me figure that out myself. And I do understand. I mean, I have a lot of friends with different family dynamics and parents across the board. Every person is different. Everyone parents differently. So I understand there's a lot of backlash that you get sometimes and a lot of fear. And I think that holds people back more than anything. But if you can figure out a way to just have a very honest adult conversation, like, listen, this is, I went to school to self-discover, and this is what I found, and, I want the opportunity to try it. Like, I want to try it, because the last thing that you want to do is regret not trying it. Like, there's certain things that even still, I'm like, shit, 31, before I, like, want to settle down or find something, start having kids, like, that's far, far away for me. But there's so many other things I want to still do. And so it's still, like, even though I'm doing a lot of stuff that I want to be doing, there's even more. And it's how can I set myself in a position where I'm still pushing that envelope and growing more. But I think it's more than anything, it's having a very calm, honest conversation. I understand this is how you see my future, but this is what I'm going to try right now. Almost like you don't really have a say. Yeah.
Would you say that, like, you've always been someone that appreciates, like, being alone and, like, doing that, like, just, like, being alone and doing things alone? Because, like,
yeah.
I don't know if I appreciate being alone, but I don't know if I could, like, travel or, like, be broke to, like, appreciate that time.
Yeah, so when I was young, I would have a friend over, and within a couple hours or an hour, I would give my mom this look like, get up, like, take him away. Like, I want to be alone. And so now, as an adult, when I actually started dating, like, a decade ago, my mom would say, this is how she always knew I was really interested in someone, is because I spent more than, like, an hour or 2 hours with, she'd be like, you're still hanging out with him? Very, very select people I want to spend more time with. I do a lot of stuff alone. Honestly, I'm with my dog all the time. And it's just kind of like, she's my sidekick, and I don't have to, so I've always had that, like, I'll just go by myself. That being said, it doesn't mean that I'm not lonely, right? I still would love that companionship, but I think that there's something when I know a lot of people that are pretty well traveled. If you need to leave, no big deal. Are pretty well traveled, but they never traveled alone, and I think there's something about relying solely on yourself to figure out where you're going, figure out what you want to do that day, that next hour, kind of sit in that fear and that loneliness. It's really powerful, and I am at a point where I would love to go and travel with someone. I'm just very picky about who that person would be. But I've always kind of been that way. Like, I've always kind of lived my own time. It's just finding that person or, people that I want to spend more time with. So, but if you're not that person, I think, for me, it's important to push myself to spend more, to go on a trip with maybe, like, and just feel that uncomfortability. And maybe for you, going on a trip alone and feeling that uncomfortability and then comparing the two. That's kind of my take on it.
Before I explode, please understand, Sabrina and I met face-to-face 2 hours ago. She is so spot on. This is what I do. And I got into the travel industry because I couldn't figure out how to afford to travel. With her permission, I will share stuff that she can share with you guys on your blog, because you need to do this. She is, I don't know why God put me, I didn't know why God put me here until she started talking. Please, please, everything she said is spot on. And there are jobs out there, the job that you're like, holy shit, somebody actually gets paid to do that? Yeah. Yes, it's there. It's in the travel industry, I know, because that's why I got into the travel industry. I've been on 27 trips in the last 6 years because I like to travel. And please,
I'm just, and listen, even though we've been talking a ton about travel, some people don't want to travel. I mean, my dad has kind of like gone to other countries because of us, right? Because of his daughters, or because he has a food show in Germany and he loves to eat, and so he'll walk around the 1,500 booths and eat all day long. But other than that, like, to him, he's very content being at home, being in Michigan, going to work every day. My grandma's almost 98, still goes to the office. Like, that's what their life is. So this is not to say that travel has to be your thing. It's always comes back to, like, what do you want to do? And I'm very comfortable. I like my place in San Diego. I'm very comfortable at home. I was in New York, and my sister with her 2 kids lives in New York City, and it was 2 nights away. And I was so happy to be back in my bed in the comfort and have all my activities in San Diego and get back to my lifestyle here. But I do think it's just so important to, whether it's going to South Africa or it's, going on a little excursion to some hiking thing, just taking yourself out of that comfort zone is, I think, what it's all about, just so you have new perspective. And that's it just helps. It's so much. Like, you couldn't even, I just think that it gives you a lot of clarity of, like, oh, I never even considered. I really would have loved to do this. Awesome. Let's figure out how maybe I can incorporate that. Any other questions? Yeah.
One thing I forgot to add, for those of you that are afraid to talk to your parents, the question is that you can ask them, or just tell them, I'm more afraid of succeeding at something that sucks than I am at failing at my passion. Because once you go after your passion, even if you trip and fall and you fail, if it's your passion, it doesn't matter. You will trip. But if you are going after something that sucks, the victory in getting good at it sucks. Been there, done that.
And this is, it takes years to, I mean, I've been now writing for over 9 years, like really actively writing, and it's building different things, and online presence, books, and it takes years to really hone in on it. So it's not like an overnight thing, but again, it's crafting a lifestyle that you want more than anything. Any other questions? Well, we have to get these things out. A plug for everybody in California. Oh, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, but I did want to take a group selfie, just because I thought it would be kind of a fun. My mom, going to sleep. Hope it went well. All right, before everyone squeeze in, let's see if we can do this.
I have my selfie stick.
Yes! All right, we got 3 seconds. Is everyone in? Ready? 1, 2, 3.